More than 20 years ago, in early 2006, Tibia was hacked. This was not the first time this beloved classic of MMORPGs got hacked, but it was the most important one. The person who did it was known as Toor, and his identity, reasons, or even the impact of his actions remain a mystery for most players. Thanks to his hacks, the Open Tibia server community, the OTS community, had a chance to run servers that were 100% like the real 7.7 version of the game, including the game motor, map, quests, and even its unknown mysteries. These files were kept secret by a small group of people, but eventually, in 2016, these files were published for everyone to download by Toor in OTLand's community forum. The real identity of the hacker responsible for this remained a mystery, and eventually he became a legend among players. Many myths were built thanks to the little information that was out there about how everything actually happened. That is, of course, until today. In this video, you will see an interview Toor gave to this channel, where he tells us the truth of exactly what and how it happened. The first few minutes of this interview are in Spanish, but then we switch to English. Enjoy. ¿Qué tal, chicos? Bienvenidos sean todos. Estamos hoy en la entrevista a nada más y nada menos que Toor, también conocido como Dennis, el hacker más prominente de la historia de Tibia, y alguien que realmente ha sido muy genial contactar con él y poder tener la experiencia de entrevistarlo frente a ustedes en vivo el día de hoy. Así que, chicos, vamos a pasar la entrevista a inglés. Voy a empezar a hablar en inglés para que también él, a pesar de que habla un poquito de español, podamos también avanzar con el resto de la entrevista en ese idioma, ya que es de hecho, por supuesto, el idioma que va a ser mejor para comunicarnos y por supuesto para darle un poquito más de prominencia a esta entrevista. So welcome everyone, this is the long-awaited interview with Toor. I have been for a while trying to have this happen, and finally it happened. And Toor, Dennis, if you don't know him, he was the person who hacked Tibia back in 2006 and got the files from Tibia 7.7, and thanks to him, all the OTS world changed forever. So, without further ado, Toor, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sí, buenos días a todos. Solo hablo un poquito español porque mi esposa es colombiana. Pero por la entrevista es en inglés. Creo que es mejor. So I'm Dennis, aka Toor, aka Charlie Root, and indeed it's been a while since we've been trying to arrange this interview. Back in 2006, I managed to compromise the CipSoft servers, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And what I didn't realize is the impact it would have on the OT world and the inspiration people took from it to create more realistic emulations of the game.
Yes, indeed, it was very important back then, and it's still very important. Those files are everyday used not only to create OTS servers, but also they are very used in the Misteriando world and for investigations all around. So many people go to these files specifically to find about mysteries that have plagued our minds for a very long time. Things like 469, basilisks, Serpentine Tower, all of this which will be discussed later on in the interview. But I first want to know a little bit more about you. Why Toor? Why that name?
So the Toor username stems from old Unix operating system, specifically the FreeBSD operating system. You have to imagine that you have accounts on that system, and one of them is the root account. And every account has a corresponding real name. So imagine if you have an account on a Unix system, your username might be Dennis, and then your real name would be Dennis, and then my last name, right?
Yes.
For the root user, the developers of FreeBSD thought of the reverse. The real name was Tor. Back in the days, I used to be a fanatical user of that operating system, and that's how I got to adopt it. It's also like in the context of hacking, when you compromise a system, you gain root access. So it's also fitting that then your name is Tor.
Well, basically, you got root access to CipSoft back then. Eh?
Yep.
Right. Well, that's quite interesting. And I want to ask you, so you seem to be very, very tech savvy. What do you do in real life? Is it related to hacking? Is it related to programming?
It's a lot of things that I do. So good to know. My mind is an ADHD mind. So I have a lot of different interests and very short attention span as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do professionally is technology related. So I'm in the consultancy field, specifically artificial intelligence and cloud technology. So I didn't go the ethical hacking route or the unethical hacking route.
All right. Okay. Well, that's quite interesting. And how did you get into Tibia?
So I started playing like early 2000s. Like an ex of mine found the game and persuaded me to start to play it. She quit after like 3 months, dying over and over.
Typical.
Finding it too difficult and too upsetting, because back in the days you would lose like 10% of your EXP. You would drop items all the time. And it was not something she could deal with, and I stuck around. So I really liked the dynamics of the game and the contacts I made there.
Well, every Tibian has a story like this. Basically, I got into Tibia almost in the same way. A huge friend of mine got me into it, and he straight away quit. So I was stuck in the game alone. He quit, and I was playing, like, meeting a lot of people online and interacting with them in a language that I didn't knew, that was English back then. So that's, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Now, why Tibia and not other games like RuneScape, Ultima, WoW? Did you had any interest on those games the same way that you had with Tibia, or for you Tibia was special and different?
It's a good question. So I'm not a gamer, and that has a particular reason. Is that from 3D simulations, I get motion sickness, and so I've never been into 3D games. Back when I was younger, I could play, for example, Doom for maybe 5 minutes before I got nauseous. So I always stuck with the two-dimensional games. So that's Tibia's top-down. It's very easy on the brain, and I took to chess as well.
Yeah, well, my wife has the same. Basically, she cannot handle 3D games. She would love a game like, for example, Minecraft with how she is, but no way she can handle the 3D. She gets very motion sick with it. So yeah, I understand. And how did you get into hacking? And how much experience did you had back then, and how much experience you have now when it comes to hacking? Like, were you proficient at hacking? Did you hack something before? How did you get into it?
All right, let me think how to answer this. So the definition of a hacker differs from person to person, right? For me, a hacker is a person that loves technology, loves experimenting with it, is very curious, and loves to push boundaries and see what breaks. And that is also how the CipSoft compromise happened.
Okay, so completely out of curiosity. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
All right. And how
like a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say.
By accident, yeah. Happy accident, yeah. And hacking Tibia, how did it affect your life back then? Or is it still affecting it in any way at all?
Back then, first, it filled me with a lot of excitement. First off, so you have to imagine I got the raw server files, but had no idea how to make sense of them yet. We will talk about the technical details in a little bit, but basically the entire map is divided up in sectors, so like a big grid.
Yeah.
But there was no source code, so I had to figure out by looking at the files how they related to coordinates in the game. I remember vividly having a note block with little squares on it, and marking things that had writable stuff on it to see. Oh, so here at this file, I see a sign there. Can I find that in the game? And then I figured out by multiple reference points that the sectors related to a 32 by 32 grid, and you could calculate an exact coordinate from that, and that's how I figured out how the map system worked. And first, I wrote a little program to try to visualize the map, because of course there's no editor for it. Which I did with giving item IDs unique colors. And that was my first real view of the entire Tibia world. Like it started to look recognizable in an abstract way. Like it zoom really out.
So basically it would look like a minimap, I guess, in that first iteration of a
very crude minimap, indeed.
Okay. And now is the time where I would like you to tell me, specifically for people that are non-tech savvy, but you can also, of course, include tech savvy terms and so on. How and what exactly did happen that day? Like, how did all went down, and how can we understand exactly, everything that happened? I would like to know the story, the full story of it.
All right, so then let me start with the day of the compromise itself, right? I think that's a good starting point. Like I said, hacking starts with being curious, and surprisingly, it didn't take technical skills to compromise the CipSoft servers. It sounds a bit like a bet a wager you would make with a friend. I was just wondering out loud. What would happen if I contacted the hosting party where the CipSoft servers are hosted? Because they have a live chat functionality, and I just wondered, what if I tell them I'm an engineer at CipSoft and there's an issue and I cannot get access? And I just tried that. I just hopped on the chat. I tried that, and they had a security question, and the security question was the contact person within CipSoft for that account.
Okay.
So what I did is I opened a second browser, and I went to the CipSoft website and I looked at the C-levels, the leadership of the company. You might think that after a first incorrect try, they would say, "No, you're not authorized. Let's do this by phone or something." But they allowed me a second try, a third try, and eventually a fourth try. Jesus. And the fourth try was Stefan Vögler. And that was that was the correct answer, and that gave me access to a control panel within at their hosting provider. I imagine it's their former hosting provider, but that's how simple it was. So in this control panel, you cannot do a lot because still you have an overview of the servers that are there, but also a whole bunch of support tickets. And these support tickets contain a lot of information. There were like thousands of support tickets. And what happened in the past is that if CipSoft would need remote hands, would need help, they would send login credentials to the employees of their hosting party. And they were plain text visible in there. So that gave me access to, not directly to the server, but to a like a terminal, KVM, it's what it's called. It's like a remote screen to access the game server. So my first game server compromised is coincidental, was Sanera. That's where I entered first, and from that I escalated access to a whole bunch of servers. So that's how it happened. And what I did next is download the Sanera files to my computer. Somewhere along the way, I found Tibia MA, the mobile game, which I also downloaded, but somehow accidentally deleted, like a couple of days later. So that's too bad.
You compromised also Tibia ME.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it was living on one of the servers. And then I went to look for my game rod. I played the game rod Balera back then. It doesn't exist anymore. And went to check out how I could get a benefit in the game. That's basically what I did.
Wow. Holy crap. And it really sucks that you accidentally deleted Tibia ME. Like, I can imagine people making nowadays also apps based on it. Because I don't know if you knew this, but nowadays many OTS have a mobile version of the game.
I didn't know that.
It's very raw and very basic. So basically, it's not like you're gonna hunt with it, but you can like do a couple chores or tasks on these mobile versions, like log in to get daily rewards or train with the training ones and so on and so forth. But so you told me that the first server that you compromised was Sanera, and that's the one in the files that we have right here. So basically, this server that you have here, those are the houses that were indeed decorated back then by players from that server, from Sanera. So
that's
you
correct.
can.
So I have an interesting story about that. So in the first few days after the compromise, I collaborated with Sim1, who had his own map editor as well. He was quite active in the OT community. And together we reverse engineered the protocol because there's no documentation. There was we found out there was a login server needed in between, which we didn't have. So we wrote the login server from scratch, reverse engineering the Tibia protocol from the binary, basically. For legal reasons, he didn't want to log in. He didn't want to try it. So I was the guinea pig to do so. And after a couple of days, I remember clearly it was on the Tibia 7.7 client. Mm-hmm. I managed to get a first ground level view. So like the C equals 7, so the ground level of Sanera, and seeing the beautiful decoration of the houses. And that was like an amazing moment.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. I have found very interesting stuff on the houses, actually. And I have showed them earlier, like on my stream, and I have showed them also to on my clips and so on. It's really very unique that you find even things that could have nowadays can be banned or so. If you go to like this house, for example, and you open here properties, it's just as gay there. It's just as gay. Straight out, you know. And nowadays that can get you banned because nowadays you can report this sort of documents and everything. It's very, very interesting, you know.
They used to be private, right?
No, yeah. Like you could before insult anyone with these documents and nothing would happen to you. But yeah, it's Nowadays, it's very different how it works, but it's very interesting because you also tell me that you did this among with Sim1, and it was him who made Sim1's map editor, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a predecessor to Remer's map editor, which we are actually using right now, Remer's, to visualize all of this.
Yeah, and I'll tell it even better. Sim1 modified RME back in the day to parse the because we tried to we converted it to OTBM, first conversion. That is the first full conversion of the entire map that was out there. That is the work of Sim1. So he modified RME to parse sector files, and then we saved it to OTBM,
yeah,
and released that.
That's great, man. Because the OTS community existed before this, quite before the hack, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I played a couple of OT servers back then as well with an old friend of mine that was into OTs. I think OTs really took off, like the realistic ones, after having the full files.
And you were the one that made the first real server, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm talking about real OTS, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's the server I operated, realots.net, which was the server I managed to get running with the login server, and I made modifications to it as well. So I'm well versed in back then, now it's rusty knowledge. Back then I was well versed in assembler, so I could hex edit the game server binary to, for example, increase regeneration rate, and to increase XP rate, those sort of things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have actually a Wayback Machine of that. We have it here. There's not much to look at, but yeah, that's about the most raw shot that Wayback Machine can get from it.
You have one with images as well, or is that missing?
No, there's all it's missing. Sadly, it's only the text that is shown, at least for what I can see on this on these captures that were made back then. It's interesting. You have all of this, like the IP, the port. So basically, you would get into this with that IP changer that had the Homer Simpson. It's a very legendary IP changer software. But I guess back then it was a different way to change the IP address, right? Or was it not?
No, you had IP changers, but the thing, of course, was that real OTS ran the real SIP engine. Mm-hmm. So you didn't need to you did need to change the host name, but you can do that with hexedit. So I did that to direct to the login server. But you didn't need to change the public key that is in the client. So the private key was embedded in the game server. Interestingly, like at the time, I also didn't know a lot about cryptography. And I remember maybe 6 months after Real OTS ran, a game master teleported to me, asking the question how I managed to have the Tibia client running without changing without knowing the private key.
On Tibia RL, like on Tibia, on real Tibia, a game master teleported to you asking you this.
Asking me that question because for him, he didn't understand how I could do this without having the private key, because nothing was modified in the client, essentially. Okay. And I answered him really naively. I guessed it. But I guessed the private key. That is literally impossible.
Yeah, of course. You were taunting him, basically.
It's probably what he thought, yeah.
So, was it a game master or maybe a community manager? Because the difference is that the game masters were like players that voluntarily went there, or was it a CipSoft employee? that teleported to you? Which one do you think it was?
It was someone with a game master outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I think not every game master is an employee of CipSoft.
No.
So I don't know if he works for Cip or if he was a volunteer game master.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting to know as well. So yeah, it's good that we have here real OTS. And yeah, basically, did you prepare yourself for this hack in any way, or was it just
No,
like
it was impulse. Like let's try this, and to my surprise, it worked.
Insane. That's insane, man. And what was the aftermath of this? Did CipSoft contact you in any way?
So that's also an interesting story. After a couple of days, so it took me a couple of days to figure out the mechanics of the game servers. But there was in 7.7 there was a bug where they just introduced Xtia encryption, and there was a bug with the encryption protocol. So a couple of days in, maybe day 4 or day 5, I don't remember exactly, there was a update scheduled, which they had a manual process for. So they logged into each server to actually do that. And I happened to be logged in on one of those servers. And they saw me there, most likely. Because that was the time where I saw support tickets coming up, saying, we think that this and this server is compromised. Can you check the log files?
Oh.
And I was watching how that unfolded and how I eventually saw my own IP address, because I didn't prepare with VPN or proxy. And that's when I decided to contact CipSoft proactively, saying that I was the one that compromised them. And that quickly led to an exchange of emails where they wanted me to tell me exactly what I did, how I got in, and I had to not leave details out. That's the essence. So I gave them that, minus the fact that on Balera I tried to get an advantage in terms of items, which they found out anyway, but like a month later. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk more in depth about it soon. Those items that you got. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And so had you sign an NDA basically, or how was the contact?
No, so
NDA being a non-disclosure agreement, important to note.
Yeah, and so my contact was with Durin, I think. Durin or another one. I spoke to 3 people in that time, and there was talk of an NDA, but they never followed up on that. So I didn't not sign an NDA. He did say, literal quote, "I expect you to quit Tibia."
Wow! Holy!
Yeah, so I did piss them off.
Yeah, well, they had your IP address even, and they knew your identity. So
they knew, yeah.
Although they did not have you sign an NDA, which is one of the most widespread myths about this situation. I even believed it myself before knowing you. It's awesome and interesting as well that yeah, you were basically also against the wall on the sword. You couldn't really say much, you know. It was not wise to say much back then either.
That's very true. Yeah.
Right. Well, and since they had not signed any NDAs, were you afraid of the legal repercussions that would have you that you would have when you open real OTS?
I think back in the days I was quite naive, so I just ran out and figured it would be okay. Like it's over 20 years ago. I was a lot more careless, I would say, a lot more. I don't know the English word for that, but a bit more reckless than I am now.
That's insane. That's insane. And you told me also that there were previous hacks before yours. What do you know about
there's
them?
one. Well, I just know what I read back then. I think it's 2 years before. There was a compromise, and I think it was in the like a database system that stored usernames and passwords, all bytes hashed. And I don't know who did that, or if there was any accounts compromised from that. But you can probably find the stories back online. About this.
Indeed, around 2004 to 2005, there are some news on the Tibia archive, which go as back as 2002, that say indeed that there was a hack and the accounts were compromised, and they made people change their accounts back then. So you had to change your account number and you had to change also your password, otherwise you could not log in. And my question to you is, since these other hacks potentially compromised other player accounts, what stopped you from compromising player accounts? Why didn't you?
I think that's not very ethical in that sense. Like I did it back then for curiosity. One, to see if this would work, and two, very curious about the game mechanics, and not to harm other people.
Not even CipSoft. Not even CipSoft. It was just curiosity.
It was curiosity. Yeah.
You didn't want to hurt CipSoft either. You just got their files. That's it.
I guess it's interesting to learn from.
Yeah, that's okay. That's quite nice, because many people would hack only thinking about money, how they can gain a benefit from it, and doing it out of curiosity. I think it's probably the best way. The best way to do it.
Of course, there is the. I did try to get an advantage in game, so it's not entirely clean, but yeah.
Who wouldn't? If you are there already, like, who the hell wouldn't? I would do it myself. I'm gonna admit it. So I have one other thing to ask you about this. Who else had these files short after you hacked them?
There is two other persons. So one is Sim1, obviously because he helped me, and a person going by the nickname Talenturen. He also had a role in the OT community, but I don't remember exactly what it was. So those were the people with the full files.
Okay.
And it's spread out from there. So
did they have all the files, or they have like maybe the map and the NPCs or so on? Because I know that the map and NPCs leaked long before.
The OTMB. The OTMB, right?
Yeah.
OTBM. No, they had just the they had the full thing.
Okay, the full distribution of files.
Yeah, the Open Tibia map is something I released myself. I don't even remember where or why, but I released it for people to play with. NPCs and other leaked files come from that original source, either Sim1 or Talenturen, and I doubt Sim1 would spread that.
Oh, damn. Okay. And were there any other files that you were not able to obtain, but that you were looking for back then?
Yes, I was looking for the source code because that's easier than a game server. I managed to get into one of the development servers in Germany that they hosted in their own data center. But to get the actual files that I needed root access. And there was one other server where there were the source code was stored, but in a password-protected archive, which I couldn't crack for the life of me. So I was not able to encounter the source code.
All right. So you were not able at all to get the source code from the game. And are there any files that you have not shared with someone else?
No. Like what is out there is exactly what I had and what's put out.
Basically, you got access to this part of CipSoft. Let me show you real quick on my screen. You got access to this, basically, to the server room. This is on the 25th anniversary Tibia video that they made back then. So you were here, basically, digitally.
I was there. I'm one of those lads. Yeah.
One of those LEDs, maybe it will blink on red instead. Okay, man. Well, that's awesome, dude. That you got so far as into their own private server, like inside the offices. Because what I understand is that what you did was remotely to their NA servers, right?
To there?
To their NA servers, their North American
North
servers.
American servers. That was the initial access point. Yeah.
Okay.
There were also credentials for credentials that also worked for German servers.
Okay. So in theory, you could have, for example, instead of downloading Sanera, you could have downloaded Antica, for example, in theory, if you would have went that way back then.
Yeah, and if I had half a brain back then, which I didn't, I would have, because Antica is way more interesting than Sanera, obviously.
Yeah, actually, we were talking about this yesterday, that if you had access to those servers back then and maybe like downloaded them or so, we could know where the two missing warlord swords were 10 years ago. Well, no, 10 years or 20 years ago almost now. But we could know who had them back then, and we could maybe find out today where they are, the two missing warlord swords that are in-game that we know so far. Probably they are deleted, who knows. But yeah, that would have been a very good starting point, because they were given out in conventions, in real life conventions back in 2000 and 2001, I believe. So yeah, it's very, very cool, man.
I think it has such an interesting history to it. So in retrospect, I would have preferred Antica as well. And I'm sure there is so much to learn from those files.
Yeah, indeed. It's very legendary because it's a first server. So basically what Tibia was in 1997, it's still today in Antica, basically.
Yeah.
And now it's a big question, and it's a question that everyone has asked themselves, and that most people have said that indeed it has been. Other people argue against it, but I have to ask it. Did you edit any files when we compare it to the ones that you published on the forum in Outland?
No, so it's completely original. It's unabridged. I deleted the thing that I thought was unimportant, I think. Or maybe I did include it, like the 7.5 binary map.
Okay.
Which I didn't recognize the value of at the time. But the recent posts indicate that this was the original 7.5 map and the user files. But I think they may be in the archive even.
Okay. Okay, well
so that's interesting, but that's something I didn't know. But I didn't edit any NPC, remove anything from a quest. It's as it was.
I had a lot of word that there is many unreadable and many crap strings of code, because back then when you made the hack, they were transitioning from coding languages from C to C++. Am I right?
That's what I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they were transitioning coding languages, so there's a lot of crap that were most likely unimportant things. So yeah, that's quite cool, man. And I'm assuming that the files were not very useful in raw data. So was it only Sim1 that helped you, or there's any other way that you made sense of these files?
And so yeah, it's the collaboration between him and me.
Okay, that's the way you understood the raw files back then. And how would you rate CipSoft coding back then? How would you rate it from 1 to 10 nowadays?
Nowadays?
Well, back then when you hacked it, with all the experience that you have now, how would you rate it? Like the programming wise, we already know that security wise they were crap. You told us that they have the worst security question and they let you answer as many times as you want. But programming wise, were they good programming? Were they crap programming? What do you think?
I think if you look at the engine at the time, the efficiency of how it operates, it could support 1,000 players easily. The skill at which it could run, I think they did a really good job. It's not modern architecture, but it's 20 years ago. For the time, I think it was great. How CipSoft develops is, of course, different from OpenTibia, right? There you have the Lua scripts. Even your spells are scripts. In CipSoft, everything is either hard-coded, so living in the code itself, or via a sort of a scripting language, but it's made for machines and not for humans to read. So what I imagine is that CipSoft has their own editor in which they design quests, in which they design NPCs. And they export that to a format that is readable by a machine, but a bit harder for a human to edit. But I think they did a good job.
Oh, that's quite cool, because most of the people think that CipSoft programming was crap. But now that you tell me about this, it's true. CipSoft have shown quite a bit of their editor. So basically, it's a lot like Remer's map editor, but they change all the programming, all the NPCs, all the spells, and so on a single piece of software. So when you go to make an OT, normally nowadays, most people use things like Remer's map editor, assets editor, and so on and so forth, and the forgotten server or canary, so that you can make an OTS. But now that you tell me this, that makes a lot of sense. They have everything hard-coded because they have a piece of software that makes sense of all of it and that can edit all of it quite nicely. So that definitely fits into what CipSoft have shown us over the years.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about Real OTS, your own server?
Well, it doesn't exist anymore. So I ran it back in the day, and I think I had a couple of restarts because I quit it at some point, and then people wanted me to start again. People wanted higher rate servers, so servers with a higher EXP rate, and, so that they could progress faster. So there's been multiple versions of it. It was fun to do back then, but eventually, like I moved on to other projects. I lost interest in operating servers. And people have been asking me ever since, like, when are you going to start a server? I still get messages like, oh, please start a server. But that's unlikely to happen.
That's unlikely.
Like
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually my next question. If you would bring it back, but yeah, okay. That's
no, I'm working on other stuff. Like from Tibia, I think it would be cool to be able to build your own RPGs. So I'm working on a project called Sorlor, in which you can modify your own game world. It's Tibia style, Tibia inspired. Do your own graphics, script your NPCs, your monsters, your quests, your spells, all from one place. So that's a project I'm doing.
You told me a lot about this project before. I have a lot of faith on it, and we have scheduled for this interview a whole space for it. That's gonna be very nice for you to show it to us.
Perfect.
So we're gonna talk a lot about Sorlor because I'm very enthusiastic about it. It's something that definitely is gonna change a lot how we view Tibia servers nowadays, and we know that Tibia servers, Tibia open servers, they influence what happens on real Tibia. We know it for sure, 100%. So that's very nice that you that you're doing this, and we're gonna talk a lot about it. I want to make you a more relaxed question before we go into more in-depth questions that are also regarding Misteriando, that we have also soon. We're gonna start talking about it. Can you talk a little about CipSoft? You told in the interview with Sami NSC, you had a written interview, and you talked about CipSoft, and it's really called my attention because you and I, we live in the Netherlands, and I know what's CipSoft, but I want you to talk a little bit about it, if you can.
Yeah, so it's basically a pincho, right, of chicken. That's a kip satay with satay sauce. So it was. I had a friend back then with was a game master on Real OTS, and we customized it. He was a crazy dude. And he thought of kip satay. He thought it would be really fun to have a chicken run around like crazy, like with extreme speed, and give it really high HP and self-healing capabilities, and that players would just chase around trying to kill it. It had some loot. I don't remember what, but players would go crazy for it, trying to catch it, trying to trap it, and it would be like 4 times faster than an Orsia on haste. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, oh my god. So basically this was on Real OTS that you had this special creature back then. Okay, that's very funny. Because that's a very common thing that you would eat here in Netherlands.
Exactly. So the behavior of this creature was that if his hit points were 100% or lower, it would always run from you. Like you know when you damage creatures like a dog, when it's low hit points, it will run away.
Yeah.
This one would always run away, so it would try to avoid players, which was really fun.
Yeah,
it didn't want to get,
like butterflies, for example, they run away from you normally, I believe.
I don't think they do. I think they just fly around, but maybe they do now. That's possible.
Or deers. Deers run away from you always.
Yeah. So it's similar to a deer, but they're really fast.
Did you ever speak on the phone with a CipSoft member?
Nunca.
Never.
No.
Okay, that's very interesting, you know. And you also told me that they sent Durin to speak with you, and that makes, well, if you read the interviews over the years, you have said this also, so most likely it was indeed Durin. It's very interesting because out of all the gods, what we have seen as players, Durin seems to be one of the most light-hearted ones. You have people like Guido, which has a lot of interactions back before CipSoft was a company. He was not a founder of Tibia. He was a founder of CipSoft, but not from Tibia. The Tibia was made by Steve, Stefan, and Durin, but he joined later to make the company. He knows a lot about business, so that's why he joined in. And when he was a game master before being officially hired by CipSoft, it's very funny because he would kill other people when he saw them cheating on when they did something that he did not like. There's a lot of stories of Guido doing this back in the day. But what were you surprised that they sent Durin? Was he hard on you? Was he like a very rude with you, or he was more curious? What was the impression you got from him?
So our contact is email, right? For me, like back in the days, I didn't know too much about the Tibia founders. So I didn't know about their personalities, or so I was also not surprised that I got to converse with Durin mostly. What I do remember is Durin telling me he expected me to quit Tibia. That's what I told you already. So I could notice they were upset, and especially because I tried to gain in-game advantage. Like for them, that was a moral bump I went over, a moral border that was unacceptable. But they could have removed me from the game, and they didn't. So I ended up with a one month banishment on my level 33 knight. So it's pretty immaterial.
Wow.
But I was just banished for a month, and then I could play on. Durin did come to my house in Thijs. I had a little house there, which was days after after they found out the hack. Likely to check whether I had hidden items in my house from modifying NPCs, which I didn't. So.
And you were there, like, or did you know afterwards, or you were
No,
there?
I saw it. Yeah.
Ah, you saw
Yeah.
it. God damn it! He wasn't even on Ghost. Basically, he was showing himself on purpose.
Yeah, like back in the days. So interesting to know. There is no invisibility for gods or game masters in 7.7. Doesn't
Okay.
exist.
That's very interesting. Well, nowadays we
So
know it exists, but yeah, back then that's quite interesting. Then you could always see them.
Yeah. So I have not played Tibia for a really long time. How did that change now? How do you know for a fact that game masters or gods can be invisible?
There has been several screenshots of game masters that they do on other places for teasers. Not only that, but also there is a couple videos. One that there is a CipSoft employee logging in and out from servers on downport back then, and when he would log in, he would be completely invisible and then log out. So you knew it was from CipSoft because what they did is that they have these bot accounts where they tested ping all the time. That was their way of testing ping for clients. The most realistic way was to create basically a bot that you would log in, check the ping on a server, and then log out instantly, and then go all around every single server. But you could have like a hacked client where you could see who was online, who logged in, and who logged out, and you could see it was a CipSoft employee. And also, there is a very interesting story about a recently, quote unquote, recently bugged boss that's called Fuge, which was very bugged, and people knew about this bug. They told CipSoft about this bug, and they said, no, it's not a bug. It's completely intended. And then one of the employees of CipSoft, back then he was the lead product manager. His name is Tusius. He went to that place. You can see on the video when there is like a teleport effect and there's nothing there. And some seconds after, he removes his invisibility so that people can see him. And it's very interesting because he started taking screenshots of the people that were there using that bug. And then he banished every single person who were there abusing that bug.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, he banned even famous streamers, just as Itexo. He was banned also from doing that out of nowhere. It was very dumb, you know, one of the worst decisions that CipSoft has made in the recent years. But they were pissed as well. You can see when they are angry, and they were very pissed because that affected the economy on the short term. It wasn't a huge deal, but it did indeed affect the economy and the price of the Tibia coins. So, yeah.
That's very interesting history.
Yeah, man, it's quite interesting because you can see when they get angry, and maybe they got angry because they might have thought that you got some income or some money that you earned from the hacked files. So my next question is, did you earn money from these hacked files? And if so, and if you want to answer this, of course, how much did you earn?
Quite a personal question, but I can answer it. So indirectly, so I never sold the server files. What is out there is published for free. So what I made with indirectly is through monetization of my real OTS server. So that's think premium accounts, think paying for skills in game, like training time, and think indirectly. I traded back in the days a lot of real Tibia items one-on-one for OT items, which I later sold. So indirectly, yes.
All right. Well,
how much I cannot tell you.
So basically, I could give you my golden armor on Tibia, on real Tibia, and on real OTS, I would get the golden armor, but not the other way around.
Not the other way around.
Okay. No. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, that's cool. And yeah, back then you gatekept all these files, the hacked files. You gatekept them among with Sim1 and the other person who helped you with the files. And I want to know what made you publish these files eventually. I think it was in 2017 that you published all these files. What made you publish them on OT Land?
So the reason to give it out is, one, there have been a lot of files circulating already, with some correct, some incorrect. Second, I think this is the most important part. People were selling these files. They were making money off it, with something that is not theirs to sell.
Of course.
So I figured it's better for the community to benefit from this than from certain single individuals that gatekeep that.
Yeah, and they gatekept something that's not theirs, indeed. Because for you it benefited the real OTS community, but for them it's like just a straight benefit from having something that's not theirs. It's definitely a lot different. Do you think that a hack like that is possible to happen nowadays? Could a hack like the one you performed happen, or do you think things have changed a lot and it's basically impossible for that to happen?
I have no insight into the current security posture of CipSoft. I would imagine they now manage their own servers rather than using a hosting provider with support that have access to their servers. And of course, in theory, a lot of things are hackable, right? So in theory, it could happen again if there's a security flaw, if there's a leak of credentials somewhere. But I think it's much more unlikely in these times, especially since things like two-factor authentication are now very common. There's multiple layers of security. So in a modern age, I would be really surprised if they would be vulnerable to social engineering attacks at all.
Yeah, because what you did was basically social engineering. You made their provider believe that you were a CipSoft employee.
Yeah.
So yeah, their security, cybersecurity rating would go 1 out of 10, I guess, right? Somewhere among the lines.
Yeah, and it's not even completely their fault, right? So it's their hosting provider messing up. I think they're a bit culpable for leaving credentials in tickets. I think that should have been cleaned up. But that was the security posture of a lot of companies in that time. You had an account, you had a password, you had a support desk that would ask minimal security questions, and they would believe you were who you said you were. But times have changed. The world has changed. There's a lot more adversaries out there. So security posture has also become a lot stronger.
Well, now Tibia is a multi-millionaire company. So they make millions of euros per month even. So of course, back then they were only making money out of premium accounts. They were making, I believe it's a little more than 1 million, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, don't quote me on that, but you can always check it on CipSoft.com how much they have raised. on incomes, and that's very, very cool. We can actually just check that if you want. So
I'm
you told me that the hack was done on 2006. So if we go to the company on 2006, they were making 4.78 million euros out of only premium accounts. That was their only income back then.
So that's gross revenue, right?
Yeah, that's gross revenue indeed. And well, that's a turnover, yes. And they had only 27 employees. So when they asked you this question of who is the contact person, there were not many people to choose from. Only 27 employees. Nowadays, they have more than 100. They have more games, not only Tibia and Tibia ME. So yeah.
So how did the revenue model change over the years?
Now they have Tibia coins, and with Tibia coins you can buy anything. Basically, you can exchange it for gold coins. You can exchange it for directly for potions, for training weapons that you have like a dummy, like you had before, like monks. People would summon monks for you. Nowadays, you can buy these training weapons, and you can buy training dummies for your house. You can buy a lot of decoration, outfits, mounts only for Tibia coins, and you can even buy XP boosts. You get more XP per hour. You get like 50% more experience. It's quite crazy. Their current model, it is very much, and it's arguable that it's either or not it's pay to win. It depends a lot on the people's perspective, but you get a lot more advantage when you put money into the game. Definitely.
Maybe they looked at successful Tibia servers, clones that banked using like it's pay to win, right?
Yeah.
I think real LTS was a bit of the same. You could buy skills, which would give you an advantage. You could buy XP, which gave you an advantage. I don't know how many successful Tibia servers have been there in the post real OTS, but I can imagine also CipSoft looked at that and said, well, this might be a more profitable revenue model. Because in the end, it's about the bottom line. I'm sure that the founders, they love their game, but eventually they also have to pay 100 employees, and they have to profit.
Yeah, of course, and this is quite obvious with the decisions they have made. And I have said this quite a lot. They basically made a model where they took the profit that other people were gaining. So before, people would buy and sell accounts with characters on Facebook groups, on WhatsApp, or so on. And they made this, especially with Tibia coins, it's a lot more easy. They made this char bazaar, it's a name. So you can buy characters and you can sell characters, and they take a cut. I believe it's 50 Tibia coins plus 12%, if I'm not mistaken, that they take. And it's quite crazy if you think about it. So they took all this business that other people were already doing, and they have their own cut, and they made it safe for people. And they look at streamers, they look at OTS communities, they look at all of this, and I have said it over the years a lot, and I believe it's true because they take a couple of ideas from other OTS that are very popular. There is a Brazilian one that's very popular now, and they have taken some ideas from them, but they modify it in a way that's more original, like daily tasks. They have now daily and weekly tasks. They have now, that's very, very nice. One of the biggest additions that they have made. They have now also like transparency on the spells. You can change how much you see your own spells, other creatures' spells, other person's spells. So this is something that they look into. Do you think that CipSoft back then looked at real OTS and got some inspiration from your server?
No, I think that would be taking too much credit. I think they tried to pretend real OTS didn't exist.
They were too salty about it, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
Oh man, shit. When you got these hacked files, were you disappointed by something?
I imagine yes. I think what I was most disappointed about was there was not a whole lot of lore that was actually true. There were not a lot of unfinished quests, not a lot of secrets to discover. Just a couple of minor things. So I think that's the major part.
Okay. Yeah, we're now gonna go into the Misteriando questions, and these are the big deals. I'm gonna start with continuing the last question. Since you got disappointed with many things, were you surprised by something, especially when you got these hacked files?
I was surprised by a particular thing that I discovered that nobody knew about, which is the life crystal.
Gamel. Gamel is a rebel. That's yeah, tell me everything you know about Gamel is a rebel and the life crystal.
Yeah, so the life crystal trick is that you could exchange life crystals for life rings. Back in the days, life rings sold for a good amount, and everyone threw life crystals to the trash. In the server files, I found that you could exchange them, and at that time, I was the only one to know. What I did, because I like to repeat mistakes, I shared. I was in a certain guild. I had a friend there, virtual friend, and I showed him how that worked, how he could exchange life crystals for life rings. Thinking that and pressing that he should keep that between us, because otherwise everyone will be doing it. This was a nice way to get a nice advantage. You could inflate your bank account with it quite a bit. Within 2 weeks, I think, this secret of how to do that was being sold for 1 million gold to other people. So
And it was a
people
lot of
guarding
money back then, huh?
back then, yeah, 1 KK was well, if you had to put a dollar amount it, like $100. It was an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
I believe nowadays it's worthless, but back in the days it was a lot.
It's
So the
a
it was being
thousandfold the basically the value. So $100 will most likely buy you 100 KKs, give or take.
oh, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen 100 KK, so I came pretty close, but not 100 KK. And that was back in the days. So back in the days, my character was filthy rich. So the secret being sold prompted me to post this. I think it was on Aaron.net. I don't remember. There was a wiki out there where you could post Tibia information. And I posted the life crystal quest. I gave it to the public. Like similar to how the reason why I gave away the CipSoft files is the exact same reason why I published the life crystal trick, because people were selling it, and that felt unfair. So then I gave it to everyone.
Yeah, at that moment, these files that we were looking at, they were not public, so you couldn't see that. You had to say magic crystal lugri death curse in order to change that magic crystal that life crystal into life rings, and they were very useful back then. They are still kind of useful for some people if you manage it and so on, and you train the old school style runes. Some people still do that, but yeah, back then they were insane. I guess having a life ring, it was very good. Most
It
people
was
wouldn't go
yeah.
with 100 potions for hunting, so that changed a lot. Having a life
No,
ring.
live rings were really useful, and you could sell them for a good amount. So this particular sequence, right? Magic Crystal Luigi Death Curse. There's hardly any pointers in the game that would lead you to say this thing. Like, so it was probably part of a quest that is forgotten to be implemented, or something old that is forgotten to be removed. But it was definitely not something players would have found out otherwise. Likewise with Berfasmur, which is an anagram for Verumbrus.
Yes. Yes, indeed, it's very difficult to get to this. There's a video of a streamer that streamer and YouTuber that I really admire a lot. It's called Breckstar. He explains how people would have eventually come to this conclusion, and it's very, very unlikely that people would actually go to this on their own in the following couple of years after it was leaked, this information, because it's so random, and it eventually makes sense, but it started making sense like almost at the end of the whole quest to change the live crystals into live rings. It's quite crazy.
Is that something that still works in the game, or did they remove it?
Yeah, it still works nowadays, and the same mechanics apply, the exact same mechanics. Actually, there is some PvP people that have abused the second thing that you can do with Chester Cass. So basically, you can exchange it to be healed. It heals you for 1000 HP. And back when I did a lot of PvP content, and when I had like a war guild in servers like Rowana, Vunira, and Peloria, this was very useful because you had a backpack full of live crystals, and you would get instantly, without cooldown, healed 1000 HP. It was very useful, and it could really.
So you go in the stairs there, yeah.
Yeah. You just trap yourself there, and you spam it, and get basically infinite HP.
No, you're immortal.
Yeah, exactly. You can abuse that because there's no cooldown to it. There's zero cooldown to it. It was really crazy.
Is that still possibility then in the game?
Back then, yes, you could heal yourself 1000 HP in exchange for the crystal instead of getting the ring. So you have the choice.
Yeah, but right now.
Right now, I believe you have a cooldown right now, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked deep into it, but I think they changed it because we never did it again. We just left it there. Like, we did it once and never did it again. So I think they might have changed this.
Cool trick.
Oh, and that's really crazy. I want to ask you about the McDonald's farm. So basically, there is a link when it comes to the McDonald farm and the desert quest. In the files, people found out that the levers in Thais, let me get there. So the levers that were here, these two, had a connection in the files where they would spawn an item in the middle of desert quest. This relates a lot to the theories that many people have, that one of the books that's in Desert Quest is written by none other than Donald McDonald himself. But do you know something else about it? Is there something that you investigated back in the day, something that you might have remember about this, something special that you know about this? Or do you think that it's just something left out from an unfinished part of the quest? What do you think?
So I do remember looking at those levers because they have a corresponding move use action. That's what it's called. So you pull the lever, something else happens. But I don't think it's connected. At the time, it was not connected to any quest. Okay. There's also a lot of test mechanics in the game back then in 7.7, where they would test mechanics. So you told me about the ping bot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they would log in to check the ping times of servers. I can also imagine that CipSoft did a lot of like regression testing. So when they release a new server version, they would run their bot script to pull the lever and check, teleport over to that location and see if an item appeared. And if it doesn't, it means that you broke a mechanic. you broke something in the game. So you would have to roll back to a previous version. There's a bunch of stuff like that. There's also like dungeon secrets is what it's called. You need to have a special permission. It's called special move use. And then when you hit certain tiles or certain items in a position, something in the floor of the dungeon changes. But nothing leads to an actual quest. Okay. So my suspicion is that those are test mechanics. And I think this one is also one of them. So I have not found anything special there.
Okay, because when you tell me about testing in the game, there's one place that reminds me a lot of that. So there is a map that's called the Dead Knight's Villa. I believe it's around here. Yes, here it is. So this was, this was called the Dead Knight's Villa. Some people over the years have claimed that they have stepped in this place, that there is a way to reach it. But when you look at it, it looks a lot like what you would find in a typical debug map in any game, basically. Especially back in the days, a lot of games had this debug maps. So what do you think? Do you think this place was accessible? Do you think it's just left over from a debug map that they had back then? And what do you think about this place? It's just below, the famous corpse in Lake Amorous.
Interesting. Why is the corpse not there?
Oh, it is there, but it's, remember, these are the files
on
the server.
It's hidden with leaves.
Covered by crap, basically. Let me
That's cool.
remove all of those.
No, I know I opened this place in real OTS, so I actually put a hole you could open and you could jump in there. And I made a dragon lair there, but in the game it's not connected at all. There's nothing there. The teleport, I don't think it leads to anything in the game server files. So you step on it and nothing happens. So it might be a quest idea that they had. I'm not sure. I think this was also there in the 7.5 binary map. There's other researchers there that can compare. So it's from old times for sure. Yeah. And at least 7.5 onwards to 7.7, it was not accessible.
Well, there are many quests that were removed from the game. Recently, one of the most legendary players in Tibia, he was the left hand of Arieswar. His name was, it starts with a T. I'm mistaking his name now. But yeah, it was a very legendary player. He helped with finding of the first sword of magic longsword, first magic longsword ever that was found with Arieswar. I will search for his name later. Basically, that person sold a key that used to lead to an old Cyclops dungeon in Fibula, but it doesn't exist anymore. Not even that. There's, if you use the special, basically special tiles, you can see many things in the game that normally wouldn't be there. So basically, there are special tiles all around the map. Basically, if we go here, we can see, for example, what would look like outlines of rooms that are not there anymore. Do you know anything about these rooms that were deleted? There is also one that's very, very important in Tibian history. If we go to Thais and we go all the way down to Mindwallen, we can see everything that remains from the old Sword of Valor quest. Before there were daemons here. Before they were called demons, they were called daemons. And you would get the Sword of Valor and the demon legs here.
I know nothing about these quests, no.
Yeah, Tagore was the name of the guy. Thank you, Blue. Thank you so much. Tagore was the name of the guy. But yeah, you don't know anything about this, and nothing in the files ever hinted toward one of these rooms.
No, also, like I've never zoomed into Mindwallen that deep, so I never saw this place, and I don't know the history of the removed quest. You're probably more well versed in that than myself.
Yeah, it's it was pieced together not long ago, actually. These very old quests that were deleted. We have some screenshots of it on the wiki, thanks to the people that put all of that together. Basically, we have a couple screenshots of it that were very nice at the time. You can see like they are in Mindwallin, and you can see that the minimap is very different, and you can see the place from the upper level and then the lower. Yeah, here's the minimap. You can see.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's the exact same place basically, and it's very, very cool.
So that room still exists, right?
Not anymore. It's just what remains of it, because they deleted this whole quest. They deleted all of it.
Yeah, but on the map, what am I looking at? Am I looking at walkable floor tiles?
So basically, on Remer's map editor, there is special tiles. They have like special properties. I'm not entirely sure which properties they are. I believe these are reset places. So basically, all these places get reset after a server save. So that might be what we're looking at here.
And the gray area that you're around it, is that walkable tiles, or what?
No, that's just like that's like stone. Like you cannot walk around.
Okay. Yeah. So I cannot teleport there. Yeah.
Exactly. That's just feeling. Now there's another place that you were interested about for us to talk about it, and it's way up here in Kasserden. We have to go way down, and then we have here our little friend, the basilisk. You were very when we were planning some of the questions, you told me if I was going to ask anything about the basilisk. There are many interesting things about this NPC, because when you speak to him, you can tell letters, and depending on the letter you say to him, with a couple of them missing, you get different effects that you can get from him.
Yeah, that's correct. So there's a couple missing indeed. But this is literally what I told you a little bit ago. My suspicion is that CipSoft used automation to see whether they broke something in the game. The basilisk tests different effects depending on a letter pressed. So I imagine an automation script would log in, at the teleport to the basilisk, spam these letters, and see if this effect would be returned on the protocol level. And this is how they would know whether the effects still worked. Okay. So it's basically a unit test, but in a primitive way.
Basically, back then, you would say that the basilisk, other than lore, it really didn't serve a purpose for the player itself, but more for the internal testing. Yet again, back then, that doesn't mean that now it is the same. It definitely hits 20 years after.
Also, of course, the basilisk fed a lot of lore, because people try to figure out what the basilisk is. So it's a dual purpose. They put it inside on purpose, so people will talk about it and stay interested in solving it. And at the same time, it has a function for being able to test it.
It's interesting, man. You told me that you had in your hands a legendary sword for a while. Can you tell me about this? Did you get any other items, and how did it happen?
All right, so you mentioned the legendary sword just a bit ago. It was the magic longsword.
Yes.
So I was a level 32, level 33 knight. That was my Tibia character. And for a couple of days, when I compromised the servers and I was working on Balera, I spent trying to figure out how to change NPC and change player files. I didn't quite get how that worked until I realized that every server save, NPCs are read and not while I edit them. Same for user files. They get written from memory to disk at server save. So you can edit the player file all you want. It will not give you anything. It's done at server save. So what I then did was modify an NPC. It was Hardek. and he would. I programmed some keywords in him, and he would give me items that I wanted.
Wow.
Among them was magic longsword. The other one was thunder hammer. And I could get. He was also like my sugar daddy, so I could ask him for crystal coins.
Oh my god.
So that's what he did. I think like for giving money, I could sell him daggers, and he would give me an insane amount of money for them. That's how he financed my life. But anyway, so it took me a couple of days to find out, and then on the day before I got the magic longsword, I had to prepare the NPC already. The next day, I went on the server, collected my items. I played a bit with the magic longsword. It's a fun sword to wield, and I had a friend on that server. He goes by the name of Max, M-A-G-Z, who was a level 13 mage, and he asked me, can I please play with it? And I said, yeah, sure. So he went to kill some monsters with the magic longsword. Imagine a level 13 mage running around ties, going and hitting cyclopses and spiders and things. And then he came back to my house, the house that later Durin appeared, and he gave me back my magic longsword, which is also very special, right?
Yeah, he gave it back, of course. That's insane.
Yeah, I think most players would like, okay, thank you, stupid, and then log off.
God damn.
And sell it for a fortune, but he didn't. So he's still my friend nowadays. We met a couple of times already. So I played with the magic longsword. Unfortunately, on that very same day, CipSoft discovered they were compromised, and they reset the game world. And so I had a fun run for maybe 8 hours or so with a magic longsword, but it's fun to know that I had it in my possession.
So basically, Mags had more fun than you had with Magic Longsword.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that means that you were long inside their servers. For how long were you there? Like 2-3 days?
I think 5-6 days, approximately.
Wow. So you were 6 days before they actually noticed that you were inside their servers.
Correct, yeah.
Well, it was very smart to modify an NPC. They wouldn't notice, really.
No, they did have an NPC log file, unfortunately. So it logs every item that you buy and sell. So that's how we found out. Yeah, so they reset the game world, and that was the end of it. And it took them approximately a month to trace my IP address to my actual character. That's how slow things rolled.
Were you afraid of it?
No, I knew it would eventually happen. So I was not surprised. I was happy that they only gave me a ban.
Yeah, 1 month ban seems like very relaxed, if you ask me. For a
slap on the wrist, right? Yeah.
Did you play again after that?
Absolutely. So while I was banished, I made a new character. And that character became my main character eventually. So I switched from knight to paladin up on the game world of Balera. Some insiders know my character name there. I'm not going to reveal it here.
Yeah.
Because you never go watch it. And that character had quite an adventure. Fought in wars there, which is fun. Was notorious by his own right on that server. So that was a nice history. And then at one point I got bored of the game. Yeah. I quit it. I sold all the things that I had and left it behind. Well,
it's okay. Well, they say that you can get out of Tibia, but Tibia never gets out of you. That's what they say.
It's it might be a little bit true.
Let's continue with Misteriando. So,
okay.
There are another big batch of strange places in Tibia that I want to discuss a little bit with you. So basically we can go all the way down again to Ankramon. This is one of the most important places because many people talk about the Serpentine Tower, but first, before talking about it, I want to talk about the arena. So this place, I have always said on my streams that if there is something to find out in Ankramon, most likely would be on the arena, because not only it has a lot of the elements of a regular quest that you would find in Tibia, it also has a lot of the mechanical things that you would find in Tibia. So all these levers have the flag of these guys that you can find here on the bottom part. So basically they have like a second function. And there is also these strange rooms that we can find below them. We know nowadays that we can see, for example, even on the map of Tibia, if we zoom in enough next to the Svargrund arena, that there are similar rooms around. And these similar rooms, how to say this, strange rooms serve a purpose when it comes to monster spawning and holding monsters before they spawn on Tibia. So when I show you this and when I tell you this, do you have any special thoughts about it? Do you think perhaps they were planning a quest, or maybe they have not finished back then a quest of this? And how likely do you find that they have actually made something in here?
I think it's extremely likely that it's an unfinished quest. So indeed, what you say, there's the mechanic of storing monsters at a certain location. It's right under here. It looks like a monster cage, and when you configure the switches in a certain way, they might spawn. At the time, it's not implemented, so it's not finished. But you can see the preparations. Like you said, there is these are disguised levers. Disguised items are generally used to be able to trigger special actions, so move use actions. Otherwise, if you would say, well, if this item is triggered, then it would count for all the levers. So in this case, it's something that looks like a lever, behaves like a lever, but is actually a different identifier.
Okay.
Which they likely planned to implement. So I would not be surprised. A lot of time has passed, and I would not imagine someone leaving that unfinished, that it might be implemented nowadays.
Yeah. So basically, back then it was unfinished. Back then. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we see something.
So I would definitely encourage people, if they like Misteriando, to investigate this. This is very promising.
Yeah, indeed, because even like on test servers, not long after, they summoned Archotep as a creature, because there is the NPC that has this program to just leave you, like walk away when you speak to him, if he goes close enough to the walls of his pyramid. But there's also the creature, and they summoned him on a test server. And you can see that with a couple smart tricks using spells, you can see which creatures exist and which ones don't exist in the game files. And Archotep as a creature exists still on the game files. And he was a boss, basically. So yeah, it's very interesting. And you can see who's here picking on his creation. Good old Nightmare.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. That's very cool. Like, there's a lot of mysteries like this in Tibia. So I think it's very likely that the arena has something to do with that. But I also want to ask you, and this is a huge question, all your thoughts and all your anecdotes that you can believe on the Serpentine Tower. Let's get rid of this. So what do you think on the Serpentine Tower?
I think this will be disappointing to your viewers. At the time, I think it was just built for lore. Like I could find nothing there.
Yeah, I always thought that that's a possibility, that it's made for context. So not necessarily you can do something in it, but it's a context, like a lore context place. That doesn't mean that's the situation now. And it's very important to know that the fact that we're talking about literally 19 years ago in Tibia or 20 years ago in Tibia, that doesn't mean that these have not changed nowadays. It could have changed.
Yeah,
Maybe there's something
you also
there.
have to imagine, so like you pointed out, back in 2006, Tibia had 27 employees in different functions. So you had marketing, you had the leads, you had technical persons maintaining servers. There were very few people that actually did quest mapping. So I can also imagine that nowadays, with over 100 employees, quest development goes a lot faster. I don't think you can compare 20 years ago with now. I think it's unrecognizable in terms of change.
Definitely. But of course, we are talking nowadays of what's in the hacked files, of course, and what happened back then 20 years ago. Because, like, for example, we could also talk about Pits of Inferno. Pits of Inferno was not implemented back then, but it was unfinished. Nowadays, we know it's implemented, we know it's finished, but it looked unrecognizable. So basically, this was Pits of Inferno. Back then, you can maybe see some resemblance from back then and up until now. Definitely you had some things that were very similar, but you also had things that were very, very, very different. So
yeah, I'm sorry. What did these signs say again?
Well, these are the different seals basically. This one is from Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
I believe this one is Basir. Yeah, this one should be Pumin. Oh, Ashvalor. Maybe they changed the... Yeah, Pumin is here, yeah, right. Pumin is to the north. So it's all the Ruthless Sevens here.
Yeah, check.
And you had some rooms that do not exist right now. They don't exist anymore. Like, for example, the rewards were in a different room. Like, they were completely different. You had all these keys over here that they are not there anymore. And the rewards were like here. Like, they looked a lot like what we find in the Paradox Tower quest. So it's very cool. But there is a room nearby here, nearby this place, that has always piqued my interest. And it's this room over here. Because they interviewed Delaney, or I believe, or Wolfram on Tibia Wiki. And when they interviewed him, I have to find the interview now, he made an appearance in this exact place, showing that there was a boneyard. There were 4 demon skeletons, but most interestingly, there was this key. And we can only know that the key is still there because of a single black pixel that's shown on the picture that coincides perfectly with it, because the way this old version of Ramirez read the map, it's not correct. It's actually the key goes under the poison, and then we can only see a little bit of it. So when we see the interview of Delaney back then, we can see this very, very, very tiny black pixel over here, right over here, that confirms that the key is still there, a wooden key. Is there a way to know which number is that key, or that file is not available? Not
Did the key not get the key number not get copied in your RME version?
No, sadly didn't.
Do you have a coordinate for me?
Yes, of course. So the coordinates are 32,818.
Yeah.
32,230, and the set level is 9.
9. 32,080 y 80, 32,230, ¿sí?
Yes. Well, 818 is the first one. The 32,818. Yes.
Yeah. All right, I got it. I'll share my screen for a sec.
Sure. Let's see it. I believe we should see your screen. I don't know. Let me check. Maybe I have some. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, Hector. So I have it here. So what you're looking at is
No, I don't see it anymore. It went away straight. Okay, now I see it. Okay.
Yeah, it's appearing there. So what you're looking at here is the original CipSoft files directory structure, and you have a map directory. Let me increase the font size just a bit. So here map is it's what I told in the beginning. I had to figure out first in my head how these sector files worked and how they relate to coordinates. Nowadays I know. So we have this, right? Let me open a calculator here because head math on the month is a bit hard. So they are 32 by 32 squares, divided by 32. So 1025. Then 56 is the rest. Let's remember that. And then we have 32 to 30, also by 30 is 1007. Rest 18. So let's open 1025, 7, and you said set levels 9, right?
Yes, indeed.
All right, and 56. We have 56 here. Oh, no, of course not. So there's a key in there. So let me open move views. Do you know the item number?
The item number. So
yeah, I don't know if it shows the CipSoft one or not.
Yeah, it shows the ID. It says 2087.
2087?
Yes.
That's an different time.
Different ID, right?
Let me see. So we have here liquid pool types.
Yeah, because there are a lot of liquids there, like on this.
There is some. I'm not sure what those items are. What we'll
Probably
do?
the slime. It's most likely the slime. It repeats.
Yeah, likely. So let's do something different. So as I told you, I'm working on this. We'll talk about it a bit more.
Yes.
But it also allows me to utilize my game master character here.
Yes.
So this is a web client that I built to be able to play Tibia. Let me open the coordinate again. So let's copy that and let's use my game master spell to just well, probably not directly. Hey, I need to copy that. This one also no. Let me just type it 3218 here. 32230.9. There we go.
Oh my god.
So this is the actual point. The graphics are a bit different because I changed the grass styles to look different. To change the sprites a bit. So it should be under this poison field, right?
Indeed, yes.
Can you tell me again the command to destroy the field? Because I have not played Tibia for so long.
Oh, I'm not sure. Like, I can tell you the item. You need a destroy field rune.
Oh yeah, there's a game master spell, I think. Let me just double check. How am I gonna do that?
/R in most OTs or like that. /R.
Yeah, this uses CipSoft spells.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So let me summon a blank rune, and you will tell me the spell to create it.
Oh no! Now I have a test here. That's my biggest weakness. The spell names.
All right. Alevo and blank rune. Yes. There we go. Yes.
So the spell to create it is Adito Grav.
Adito Grav.
That's my biggest.
There you go. I have a destroy field. I'm curious if the game master can use it, but let's see. There you go.
Okay.
So we took the key, and it's key 3700. a wooden key.
3700.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's very revealing. I believe that key already exists on a variant that's completely blue, like a crystal key. Let me just check that really quick.
All right.
3700 in Tibia. I believe it exists. Yeah, it does exist. And it is indeed the key for Pits of Inferno. So that basically shows us that that key was like something that they had planned, but that they never really implemented. So now you can get it in Venor in a different place. Wow, with the Bonard and ghouls instead of demon skeletons. Holy crap, that's insane. That's really fucking cool.
But now we know. So maybe they just hid it there so they could test stuff.
Shit. Wow, that's so cool. Like, I always thought this place has to be accessible. But now we know it was planned to be accessible, but it most likely isn't anymore. And where does that TP bring you?
Yeah.
Nah, this is not programmed even.
Nowhere.
Crap. Oh my god. God damn it. Oh, damn, dude. That's crazy. So now you can, yeah, you have been changing the sprites and so on Sword Lore.
Yeah, and there we have my good friend Max.
You told me he's
Let
from
me show you a little
well.
trick and then we'll continue.
Okay, yeah.
So if I curse at him, I don't know if you can see what I'm typing.
HDP, hijo de puta.
Yes, there you go. And then he'll yeah. Cool.
That's very awesome. We'll talk more in depth about Sword Lore in a bit. There's a couple more questions that I have about hacked files. So
Cool.
basically, yeah, we can see, we saw already how Poi was. Now it's even more revealing that it was definitely just not finished and it was very different back then. But yeah, there are two rooms that are very mysterious that we know nowadays that they are still empty. So back then people had a lot of hopes on this spike sword quest. That's over here, I believe. You would go down here, and here you have this room that have some dragons behind it, and it was empty back then. And sadly, we know, thanks to level hack, some modified clients that do have level hack, that not only this room is still empty, but also there is a very legendary room that many people had a lot of hopes for as well, in none other than Orc Fortress. That's empty as well, and it's a ladies' quarter, the Orc ladies' quarter. It says here, a woman's quarters, and they're both still empty. Do you think this was like a bait? Do you think maybe they said, okay, since we got hacked, let's stop the development on this side and let's move somewhere else? What do you think about that?
It could be that they pivoted. I can imagine that if the beginnings of a quest are revealed, but you have not yet implemented them, that you change it around a bit. Otherwise, it would be too easy, right? But this does look like a bit of lore, right? If you go big back 3 doors, it sounds a bit dramatic.
Yeah, indeed. And also some bars. That sucks. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be an orc woman, if you ask me.
No, this sparks curiosity, and I think that's exactly the purpose of this room. But in current Tibia, this still looks identical, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, I mean, the sprites have changed a little bit. They changed the walls and so on for it to look more modern, but indeed it basically looks the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just to inspire people to search, and that's also the goal, right? When you play an RPG, it's not that you need an answer to everything. I think the enjoyment is finding out if something's there. It's the actual journey you go through.
Yeah,
that's what interesting for me as well.
I'm gonna ask you some very specific questions, okay? And they're probably short answers, short questions as well, but they are very intense and they're very important topics. So the first one is about Lake Ambrose. We go back to Desert Quest. Did you plant yourself that golden helmet there to tease maybe some players, or was this already in the hacked files?
This was already in the hacked files. So I, like I said in the beginning, the files that are out there is exactly how I found them. So including this body, and I think it's a really nice touch that they put leaves over it. I think that's really smart. I don't know why it has items inside. So I imagine that a god would be able to teleport over to this little island and take items from it and give it to his friends. That's the only thing I can imagine why items will be in there.
Yeah, it's quite strange because back then there were very limited golden helmets because they all got duplicated from a single one that was obtained by a bug. So it's yeah. It's crazy. About the 469, I want to speak about the language of the bone lords, of the beholders. Do you think something of it? Do you think maybe it's something that it's still unsolved? Or do you think maybe the hacked files helped in any way to maybe move forward in this mystery eventually?
So back in the days, I was absolutely fascinated. Please don't call them bone lords, they're beholders. So the beholder language for 469, it's 469, right? Yeah. Yes. I was absolutely fascinated with it. Read every book that I could find to try to crack the puzzle. I don't think the books particularly helped. Of the leaked files particularly helped to crack this mystery, but this mystery never left my mind. I've recently, a couple of months ago, even used AI to analyze 469 to find a hidden meaning. There are patterns to it that it can recognize, but it's not a known cipher. So this is something that keeps teasing me. I think maybe something might be there. It might also be just random keyboard smashing, but the distribution is not random.
Yeah.
So it's for me that's unsolved, and maybe it has meaning, maybe it has not. But I think the value is in that we are still thinking about it. Like it hasn't completely let me go either, even after 20 years.
That's very interesting, my friend. Yeah, it teases myself as well. Not long ago, I did a special stream on 469 where we spoke about this structure that it has, and we spoke about the other languages that CipSoft has made, like Garong, Orc language, and Hacker language, which is a deep links language. It's a lot more recent, and they are all like arbitrarily translated. So you require a sort of dictionary in a way of an NPC, in a way of even a post on forum, even a way of a book that translates these words into real readable English words. They all have the same structure. So my conclusion is that I believe there is a dictionary from 469 to English that somewhere in the game might be anywhere, who knows. But yeah, back then, of course, the hacked files, I don't think they did more than just get more people even more curious about it.
If you ever find out whether this can be translated, do let me know.
You can be 100% sure. I have two questions that I am asking for a friend. His name is Meadek. He makes amazing videos, amazing articles, and amazing posts on different social media about Misteriando. There are two questions. I'm going to ask them all at once. The first one is here in Ankerman, where you can find here a snake, well, a cobra statue that has a disguised basically flag, yeah? So it's disguised as something else. it has piqued the curiosity of many people in the Misteriando community. And also there is this transcripts from Chemar, which is the what would be the carpet NPC from Darasha. He says basically that you can buy a flying carpet for 5,000 platinum coins, and it's related to topic 7. And if you go to topic 7, it says he's sorry, but you don't have a pilot license, or that you don't have enough money to buy it. But if you see the topic 7, it's quite interesting because it jumps from topic 5 to topic 7. Like if there's a part in the files that's completely missing. It happens the same with an NPC called Gemma. There is a part of it that's completely missing. The FR0457, the quest value is just like redacted. Do you think these 3 things I'm showing you, they are all just unfinished quests, or maybe something that they have an idea for? Or what do you think about these 3 things I'm showing you?
Can you first tell me the FR0457 line? Is that original? Is that an original comment?
Yes.
Let me see. Hey, you're right. Is that already in the file?
Yeah, it's in the file. I have it. Just yesterday, I downloaded again the NPC files just to make sure that I didn't have anything modified. It's in the dma.npc file. So basically, they set even a quest value that's completely redacted. It's strange because you don't see this anywhere else in the hacked files. Quest value.
Yeah. Which one is it? I will verify.
DJEMA. That's the name. Gemma, yes. That's a very interesting one. It seems to be completely redacted.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like the files of certain island.
It's and then, yeah, this is just a comment.
Yeah.
And the quest values are commented out.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this is also computer generated with placeholders. So that means that they did this in their editor software, and this is the final output. Topic 7, I imagine that they had topic 1 until 7, and they later removed 6.
Okay.
So that part is then just missing, but then it's because you don't want to rewrite every reference to a certain topic. That's then fine, and they keep 7 as the latest.
All right.
But there's also funny dialogue that if you have enough money, you don't have to buy the license, and if you don't have enough money, then you don't have enough money, right?
Yes, indeed.
And then onto the Cobra statue. So first thing I notice, so it's a disguise item, which is usually meant for move use actions. Can you give me the coordinate of that one?
Yes. So the coordinates is 33,000.
Yeah.
361.
361.
And 32,811.
Yeah.
And the set level is 14.
14. So I will share again my screen.
Sure.
And I will use move use in this case. Use that. And basically this is a collection of rules for items and for coordinates, where interactions with items happen and you have a certain action, but also for coordinates. So it's also used for quests. What you see here in the beginning, if object 1 equals 2487, which is a bed type, if the object is a house and you are in a premium account, you are allowed to log out and you're allowed to sleep in the bed. That's basically what it does. So that's a move use action. But there's, for example, also the if you look at let's look at Annihilator. So here you have if is type is 2773 in this position, if that specific object is there, I think it might be a lever that is pulled. Not sure by head, but and then all these conditions, and then the stones are deleted from the map. Demons are spawned there, and players are moved into the room.
That's what the yeah.
Yeah. So I would expect if this has a function, that this coordinate is in the moveUse file, and it is not.
Okay. Okay.
So that means that it does not have a current trigger at 20 years ago. And it could have a whole lot of conditions, right? Before it is triggered. But back in 7.7, it did not do anything. It does look very intentional in the sense that they probably have done something with that. Yeah. So there's a tile in front of it. Maybe you need to offer something. You need to stand there. Other conditions that need to be satisfied.
Yeah, this is used during the quest of the ancient Helmet of the Ancients quest. But it's strange because the cobra itself doesn't really do anything. It's more like this tile that do something. When you step on it, then you get a certain effect. But the cobra doesn't really do anything. That's why Meadek himself asked me to ask you about this place, because it's really weird that they put these guys on the cobra but not on the tile itself.
Well, how I imagine this could work is when you satisfy certain conditions, this cobra that is now disguised could be a normal cobra. And then you could trigger a moveUse action based like, oh, is in that position the coordinate that you mentioned? Mm-hmm. Is that the cobra item ID rather than the disguised one? Okay. So that could be the mechanic. So I do imagine there's something there.
All right. Yeah. Well, maybe it's just part of the regular quest. Who knows? Or maybe there is something else to it. And actually, that's part of the following questions that I have for you, specifically regarding the mysteries. So there are many mysteries in Tibia. So we are closing in on everything that's about mysteries, and we're gonna go into what you're doing now and what's following. But there are several mysteries, like the Warlord Sword, the room north of Thais, like this on top of the mana shop. That's this room that nobody has accessed on the upper level of the mana shop in Thais. The wall north of Ankramon, that's very interesting. That this is this what appears to be like a very ancient tomb, this place. That when you look at the files, there's really nothing much in there. I guess that you have also looked into them, and you don't have any extra information on them.
I know I have nothing interesting to say other than that I think it's for lore, especially when you see a pretty picture like that sparks the imagination.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of what I want to finish off the Misteriando part with, is that the not necessarily a question, but the fact that in 7.7 it was not finished or it didn't have a purpose, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a purpose now. For example, like if we go not far away from that place, if we go into this place, it took about, I believe, 10 years after you did the hacking for this place to have a purpose. And it was very mysterious. And if I were to ask you about it today, you might have said back then, like, it doesn't have anything, there is no purpose to it.
Correct. Yeah.
But they added a purpose to it. So that doesn't mean that people should stop investigating the things that we're talking about today. But more on the other hand, I think that it begs the question, did this change in these 20 years?
So I do think like 7.7 is a snapshot frozen in time. Server was in active development. I think you should expect some of the things that look work in progress to have changed, definitely. Yeah. Things might have gotten a purpose, and I would say go explore.
Yeah, exactly. If you could say one thing to CipSoft, what would it be?
I would say to Durin that I'm sorry that I disappointed him.
You did not leave Tibia.
I did not. No, I did not. Well, I quit eventually, but not probably not as soon as he would have liked me to.
And speaking of Durin, because he's not only a god in the sense of he was of the founders of Tibia, he is a god in the lore of Tibia, the god of the dwarves. You told me yesterday, and I couldn't stop laughing about it, that you trolled Durin on your server on on real OTS. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah. So our back and forth with Durin. I thought it was fun. He banned me eventually, but I took it in a good gist. What I did is on real OTS you have the dwarves in the caves, which as a level 32 knight you roam quite a lot, right? So I was frequenting those caves often in Tibia, and instead they say "Hail Durin." That's what they yell out. And I changed that to Hail Durex, which I thought was hilarious.
Hail Durex, like the condom brand.
Yeah.
Oh,
So actually, nobody in my on real OTS ever commented on it. They just like, oh yeah, that's how it should be, of course.
Jesus Christ, that's fucking hilarious, dude. Yesterday I was like laughing, man. I couldn't really believe that shit. So let's talk now about your current projects because they are really promising and I'm really excited about them. You're a person that has like a million faces, and I say it in a good way, that you do a million things. So you're into music, you are, well, of course, in your real life job, you also have a lot of touch with computers, and also you're working on something that's sort of related to Tibia, but that goes far beyond the spectrum of only Tibia. Can you tell me a little bit about it? I'm gonna show your screen as well, so you can show us a little bit about it.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely can. So we've talked. We've shown this a little bit earlier, where I retrieved the key. It's a project called Zorlor. So you can see the URL there. It is not intended to be a Tibia server per se, but let me preface the inspiration for this, because I've been out of Tibia for quite a long time. The last time I actively played Tibia was probably around 2000 and maybe 2012 that I last actively played the character, maybe 2013, and then I quit for good. Remember the mage that I told you about, Max, who played with the magic longsword? So he is like you. He's from Venezuela, but he's been living in Europe for quite some time. But in the past year, 2 years ago, he moved back to Venezuela. So he went back for some unknown reason, but he went back. Last year, I was in Colombia in December, November, December. That coincided with him returning from Spain to Venezuela. So he went back from vacation. It was in January. But the only way, because Maduro just got abducted, yes. The only way to get to Venezuela was through a flight with a stopover in Colombia. So of course we took the opportunity to meet up. On Bogota airport. He had a short layover, but we had a couple of hours to spend. And then we, of course, reminisced about the old times of Tibia. That is the day after that. I started with the idea to revive a bit of that nostalgia. So I started with constructing a ground-up new game server. That is inspired by the Tibia mechanics. It has a web client to it, so you can play Tibia not through an old Tibia 7.7 client that you need to IP change, but you just go in your browser. You can interact with it. It's not a perfect replication of the Tibia client, but it's fairly playable. and combine that with a world editor. So we already saw the game mechanics. You log in, you get your characters, you log in, and you play. But the idea is not to make a Tibia replica. That's not what I want to do. I just use this as a basis to test, to see whether the mechanics work. And I'm working on the graphical assets to replace those. So it becomes a unique game in its own right. But then with the awesomeness of the Tibia look and feel. That's the idea. Then that's combined with a client. Let me go to my own customer. So customer is me. Go to Zorlor, the editor. Let's open the minus file roles otbm2.org. That is the original world of Tibia, altered with my sprites, but still the original map. And this is taking shape. So this is not just a map editor like RME is. In the map editor here, you can you have an items list. For example, let's take lights. Here I can drag and drop this. This is not exciting. This is what you can do in most map editors.
Yeah.
Here you can. So the entire backend is now Lua. So I converted every CipSoft quest, every action to Lua script. The same for spells, the same for monsters. It's all Lua driven, and you can simply edit it. The idea is to make this even more visual, so you can visually design quests as well. So it becomes easier. You can introduce your own spells with whatever it does. I think I added some test spells, like for example this one. So this is a player spell. You define the words, how many mana it costs, and then you can do your own logic. So in this case, it trains your shielding skill to insane level, just to test whether that works. And you can combine things. So you could do an ultimate explosion with damage based on a formula that you want, and teleport you to Hell's Gate. It's your party. So you can design your spells there, your monsters. You can add raids. So for example, I think this is a fun layer to show. Let's do the raids here. And here you will see exactly which raid I'm talking about. This is the Thais Orc invasion. Okay. They happen simultaneously at north, west, east, and gates. Mm-hmm. And you can filter them by, for example, the wave. In this amount of time that disappear.
Wow.
You can edit them. So if I do edit raid monster, I could add loot to it. For example, I can go to items and say, let's add a magic longsword there. Longsword. And now there's a probability that he drops it. And you save it, and now it's part of the raid. You can add new ones very easily. And houses is still work in progress. So right now I can copy paste houses. Okay. That's about it. But also the idea is that you can design houses there, and basically you will get one state file with your entire world. Your NPCs are in there. So if we go back to Thais, let me go back there. Let's say the max NPC over here. I can just edit him. This is now a file reference, but this is also Lua script. And then you, let's see, edit. Yeah, also on disk. But you can also have them in there in the editor themselves. So you can do the there. And then you can distribute one file and you have your entire game world with all your logic inside. Then what you can do, I think this is the most awesome stuff, you can actually sprite in there. So it's like a Photoshop for spriters. It has support for different asset types. So if I go to my favorites, let's go to props here. So you can see you have tables. I can say...
you can modify it right there. Like, for example, if I want that lamp to be red, you can instantly change it easily.
Absolutely. Like if I do the color balance, this is contrast, here we have colors. Let's make it more red here, there. And then you would apply the same to the other part of this here. You can also edit the full thing here at once. For example, for contrast. So that's pretty cool. You can also edit in this mode. So I forget what is not working here. And you can also create you can just draw sprites if you want. So if I do a new one, we'll get a new tab here. So let's say I'm a terrible spriter, but let's say I do this here. I'll make a stick figure.
It looks just like me.
That is exactly what I was going for. And then we fill him like this. But this is not isometric, right? So if you were to be a statue, you would want to be isometric. So what I can do is I can say you're isometric. Then it changes you, it pivots you.
So it changes the perspective with a single button. Sir. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's what it does. Then you have to sometimes a pixel will be offset. You have to
of course
fix it. But that works quite all right. And I can do stuff like this. I filled you now with so that's a joy for spriters. You can create your custom items. So if I, let's say, I have this little tree here. I can say add item. This is a weird tree. Let's import properties from another tree. Otherwise, we will be able to walk over. So let's say it has the same properties as that one. There, let's now close
and
this.
That's it. That, as easy as that. You just find it on the item section and that's it.
Yeah, a weird tree. There we go. And then we can just plant it.
It's crazy because if you look at the current tools that people have to build in servers, like Tibia servers, for example, open Tibia servers, they are very far behind this, and you're making a single single editor that you can program in, you can sprite in, you can customize everything, you can make raids, you can edit the Lua. It's crazy. It's really crazy what you're doing because it's far far above the current the current tools that we have in the OT community. It's
also really fun to do. And so you can just download it online and do this for free. You can self-host. This, if I save this now and copy this to my game client, immediately this sprite is available. And if I copy the rolled OTBM2 to the game server, it's immediately there. So you can use it right away. That's pretty cool. So let me show you where to get this. So you can go to Zorlor. There you have all the buttons with the game server. Bridge is like the database layer. The editor and documentation, which is also important if you want to do a technical deep dive on the internals. But you simply press it and you will go here. This is the game server. Runs on Windows, Linux and macOS. So it doesn't matter where you host. You can run it locally and explore a lot of lore as well. You can create yourself a game master character and have fun. And then we have other repo. Let me see. The editor. It's in the Zorler editor. You can download the latest version. The latest one is of 3 days ago for your operating system, and you can just straight start mapping. So if you do not have a global map, that's important to know. So you would start like this, and you will get my sample map where I also make dirty sprites. As you can see.
Oh my god, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, this is probably don't get demonetized.
No, don't worry, it's fine.
Let's keep it out of view. But this is my test ground, so I test sprites on here, and I thought it was funny to create a club. So this is an actual club. It's nothing nutty, with an insane attack value. If you do the edit object here, you will see it's a club. So it is skill number 9.
The name is very club-like.
Absolutely.
A giant.
And it has a weapon attack value 100. You can then use it in the game.
Oh my god.
So that's the editor. I do more stuff than besides this. So this is a fun project I'm doing. Getting great satisfaction out of that. And then maybe some of you would like to play with it. It would be fun. Sure. Aside from that, like I have a million hobbies. One of them is singing. So I have this personage online, my alter ego, so to say, called Charlie Root. So Toor in reverse there. Mm. I release folk songs. Probably not to everyone's liking, but it's Dylan style singing. So check it out if you're interested. I don't have a whole lot of listeners, about 1,000 a month. But I have a whole bunch of stuff out. So check it out if you want. So
that's great, man.
And last but not least, I am a co-founder of something called Euroso. Let me load it up.
Oh no.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
It's my internet is slow. So this is an agent builder. You can create AI agents with it. I don't think maybe I can showcase now. Well, we can sign it, right?
If you want, I can hide your camera for a while.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I show you then. I show it. You tell me when I can show back your screen, okay?
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay. Okay. I won't look. I promise.
Well, it will. Okay, let me. How do I do that? No, I have my login in my other screen. Just a second. Just a sec. Let me switch back.
Don't
for
worry
a sec.
about it.
There we go. I'm logged in here already, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Then
now I can show it, yes?
You can show it. Perfect.
Okay, there we go.
So it's a node-based agent builder. So basically you have building blocks. You have a prompt. You have an AI model that can perform tasks, and you tie them together to achieve tasks. For example, some process automation. In this case, it's Modbook. Maybe you need to blur out this key here.
Okay. Should I? How do I do that? Oh my god, no.
No, it's like post-production.
Okay.
No, it's not possible. It's live, right? So
Yeah,
it's not. Modbook is a fun social media platform for agents. So I'm not worried about this key being out. You can leave it.
Okay.
It's just my agent on a schedule posts to this social media for agents, which is mind-blowing. But you can create a whole bunch of stuff in here. So I have a million agents here. I have Aristotle, which is also fun. Aristotle thinks about the purpose of life and everything. So he just knows that in the beginning, he just knows he's born. And he figures out through internet searches what his meaning is. And then he he thinks about that and stores this in his brain until the next invocation. And then he basically writes a blog of his thoughts and discovers more about what it means to exist, which is a really nice philosophical agent. But you can apply to cool real life use cases as well. So that's a project I do as well.
That's really awesome, man. God damn it.
And then I have a million other hobbies, but let's not bore your audience to death with more.
No, I think that's very interesting. Like knowing more about you, it's very interesting. We can know what's inside the mind and what's inside the future projects that you have. Well, and you are a myth in the Tibia community. That's undoubted. Like no one can doubt it. So it's very cool to see all the things you do. It's very interesting, and
it's also not something I realized. Like a lot of people on OT land, they refer to me like as a legend. But in all those years, I never realized people thought about me in this way, because I left the community alone and I didn't think about it for all this time. Then I started reading the comments again. Like I visit OT land once every few years. And then I answer private messages, so people get messages from me years later. And I never read up on the threads. So until you messaged me, I didn't realize this was still living in the community.
I'm very glad.
So that was really interesting. Yeah.
I'm really glad I messaged you, because it was crazy when I messaged you. I got an answer like a day later, maybe less, and it was I was not expecting that, because I saw your activity and it was like this guy hasn't seen anything for years. So you replied almost like very fast, and it was really cool that led to this interview. I'm very proud of it, that everything has gone so well. Eventually we planned to do it in real life because we live like 3 hours apart, but Dutch trains suck. The Dutch train system. At least it's better than Venezuelan, which is non-existent. But I wanted to ask you, since you are such a renowned figure in the Tibia community, what do you want to say to the Tibians that look up to you?
Oh, that look up to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's be curious. That's my main message. Be curious, keep exploring, keep pushing boundaries, and break things.
That's great. That's awesome. And with that, my friend, I think we can end this interview. I already invited you to a more relaxed sort of podcast, like streams eventually, close in the future. You told me you were interested in that idea, and so most likely this we will hear more from you in the near future. And thanks a lot for meeting here with us. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Con mucho gusto. Con mucho gusto.
Oh man, I couldn't believe that you spoke Spanish. I couldn't believe it. Seriously.
Yeah, it was like we were talking. You were writing to me when I was in the car, and I needed to get the message across exactly, because if I speak English while driving, there's a lot of noise. And I felt it was necessary that you understood exactly what I said, so I did it in your native tongue, which most Dutch people don't speak Spanish. They don't know hola, cerveza, telebancos por aquí.
Yes, exactly. Those are the words that all Dutch people know. Una cerveza, por favor. Telebancos por aquí.
Yeah, so I know a fair bit. My only limitation is I can only talk in present time. Yeah. But that's to be worked on and improving every day.
That's great, man. That's great. Well, we'll see you again in future streams. Thanks a lot for this. I'm gonna go into a break. We're gonna talk by WhatsApp, okay? I'm gonna go into a break so that I can, go into the regular format of streams to say goodbye in Spanish and so on. But yeah, I want to say thank you and see you. We'll talk in WhatsApp in the next few minutes. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, Dennis.
Thank you. All right. Cheers.
Bye bye.